time to get down. It's time to get down.
And so is it Jover for Vaush? That's the question. That's the question. Is it Jover for Vaush? What the hell is going on, everybody? Welcome to Gotham City Live. We'll be litigating the nastiness. I really would rather not know about some of my favorite, I don't know, content breed. Yeah, I don't want to know about any of you people's sexuality or anything about what turns you on, anything. But unfortunately, we gotta litigate this one. Okay, the streamer Vaush, the political content creator Vaush, has unfortunately leaked his own porn folder. Okay, now who amongst us doesn't have a porn folder? I got multiple porn folders. Are you fucking kidding me? Seriously. Okay, who among us doesn't have a porn folder? But this guy's porn folder had some questionable shit in there.
You can see this is an example of the kind of structure that I'm referring to.
Whoops. Okay, the guy had some anime porn on his laptop. Okay, and listen, I gotta be honest with you guys. I'm what you might call a black guy. Okay, I'm a black guy in my early 30s, alright? I don't know much about this. I heard a term, I didn't know what it meant, so I had to go over to Google. I'm such a fucking boomer, alright? So I go over to Google and I go, what's lolly? What's a lolicon? What do these terms mean?
Lolly is basically an aesthetic or art style typically found within anime-related material that is centered around youthful and pubescent girls. Lolicon is basically a community on the internet who bear some kind of sexual attraction or fetishization of the lolly art style and lollies.
And so mixed with the lolly, the guy had some horse stuff in there as well. Some horse cock stuff, I don't know. Okay, listen again. I was under the impression that all of you little white guys, you know, the Zoomer white guys or whatever the fuck, I was under the impression that they were all watching anime porn. You guys watch anime anyhow. They're watching anime anyhow, so I was under the impression all of them were watching anime porn. It's definitely not my bag. You know what I mean? It's definitely not my bag. I think it's weird. I think it's ridiculous. But CP, I mean, come on. I think that's a little bit of a stretch. I think it's a stretch to call that that's ridiculous. You know what I mean? And I think the people calling him that are the people who already didn't dig him anyway. They didn't fuck with him in the first place. Now the horse stuff, that's funny. Okay, that's just good, clean fun. Okay, I said this, and I'm gonna always say this. Me personally, I don't think bestiality is like sexy. Okay, but it's certainly funny. I think bestiality is the funniest thing in the world. You shouldn't have any sort of intercourse with animals. Obviously, it's against the law, and it should be. Okay, but my personal take on it is, if you want to have your way with some sort of like large bovine breacher or whatever, that's funny. I watch that Mr. Hands video all the time. I'm watching that video because I think it's funny. And to know that he died subsequently, that's hilarious. That makes it even more funny. So our guy Vaush had some horse stuff. He had mixed with the Shotacon and the Lolicon. The guy had horse stuff in there. And the reality is, it certainly doesn't help matters that he looks exactly like what a supposed Lolicon is often depicted as. I mean, it certainly doesn't help matters. Okay, so when you add that with some of the more controversial bombings he's made on the matter of CP, it starts to make our boy Vaush look like a very nasty white boy. I'm sorry, and I hate to be nasty about it, but that's what it makes him look like. Okay, now listen, I like Vaush. I fucks with Vaush's content. I think Vaush does a net positive for the online left. All right. I think some of the more debates he's had have been educational for myself. What do we do as a Vaush fan? What do you do? I can't really dignify the out of context clips where he's talking about things that sound weird to non-debate bro people who consume this kind of content. Okay, he said some things. Now we all understand what he was saying in context, obviously late stage capitalism or moral consumerism under capitalism. Is there any moral consumerism? I get that. We get that. But to people who don't know about this type of stuff or don't talk about or think about this type of shit, it just sounds weird. Okay, so those are the normies. And to the people who aren't normies, but people who actually know what he's saying, but they're cynical and disingenuous, I mean, that's a lot of people as well. I mean, so he's multiple folds, multiple factors. The path of the debate, bro, is beset on all sides by the Nazis and the Red Fash. I don't know. Anyhow, the reason I want to talk about this is because this is just another example of the left eating itself and destroying itself. Did we not learn anything from the J.K. Rowling situation? What happened with the J.K. Rowling situation? J.K. Rowling, a known transphobe, a known transphobe who wants to propagate the narrative that trans women and their allies pose a threat to cis women. That's her stance. We already know what it is with her. So one day, she decides to quote tweet Vaush saying some sort of misogynistic joke about women, shut up and be quieter. Okay, what's really happening here? What we're dealing with here is a trans advocate in Vaush and a transphobe in J.K. Rowling. That's the reality. You can compartmentalize about the joke and whether it's funny or not, or whether it's problematic, but the reality is, to side with an actual transphobe, that makes the left look bad, because that's what she wants, because that's what all transphobes want. They want y'all to believe that trans women pose a threat to cis women, and that trans women and trans advocates are misogynistic. So here we are again in the same instance. Not only do transphobes and TERFs want to make the argument that trans women pose a threat to cis women, they also want to make the argument that trans people broadly pose a threat to children, that trans people broadly are pedophiles. Not only do they want to make the argument that trans people are pedophiles broadly, they want to make the argument that trans people and their allies are what? Pedophiles. And you make it awfully easy for people of bad faith, transphobes, to call him that. Pretty much the premier leftist debate bro, because there's only really one leftist debate bro. Okay, when we use the term debate bros, we're talking about two people, Destiny and Vaush. But when we talk about leftist debate bro, we're only talking about one person. We're really only talking about one person who, if you're any sort of transphobe, vocal transphobe on the internet, particularly on YouTube, they inevitably have to bump up against him because he is a vocal trans advocate. And I think for the most part, he's done a really good job at that. And that's the only reason I'm a fan of his content. Well, not just the trans stuff. I think he's good on social issues. Okay? And I think a lot of his content has been informative for me.